WNST, Tasson, and the end of the Adam Jones era here in Baltimore. Was there a little golf tournament going on, and I'm an early riser. Those of you know that, know me, know all about that. 5 in the morning, I'm up, and the Ryder Cup was happening, and Robert Canady joins us now from Compass Point Golf. Even I saw a little bit of it on Saturday and Sunday, and part of it was just such a stinkeroo, right, that it didn't get talked about other than in golf circles where people were holding their noses, right?
Yeah, it was pretty much Friday morning. When the U.S. got out to a 3-1 start, it was all stars and stripes, and this is the best U.S. team ever. And then probably by the 24 hours later, it was like, what in the world's wrong with this team? As they basically we got skunked in the next two sessions and fell behind, as often seems to be the case going into Sunday with too big a deficit. I think they were trailing 10-6 going into Sunday and needing to win 8 of the matches. And they had the lineup stacked for all the good players up top, all their top players up front to try to win some points, and it never really happened. There was a brief period where they got it to cut 10-9, where they were only down like a point, but then the right side, which was a European, had all the blue flags that were up 2 and 3 holes, so you pretty much knew it was not going to happen, by then. So, another disappointing Ryder Cup for the U.S. Team and fans, and another well-played match by the Europeans. So despite being, quote-unquote, having the lesser team than a lot of people thought. All
right, well, and then there's the fallout anytime, oh, Glory don't win, we got to come back and tear it all apart and say why. Maybe they just were better, over a couple of days on a weekend. But then there's the fallout of Patrick Reed, and I'm just going to let you take over from there because, I stand outside the golf circle as the guy that never liked Tiger Woods, always sort of rooted for Greg Norman, sort of had guys that I liked, but I'm sort of, down the middle on golf, right? I don't like or dislike anyone. I rooted for Sergio Garcia for a little while because he was Tiger's guy that was going to be the Connors to the Borg to the, but it really didn't work out that way. But he is a guy you don't like. Spieth is sort of legendarily you like him, right? And there's a mixed bag on whether you're a Bubba guy or whether you thought John Daly's act was cool or whatever. But this is like a whole different etiquette level, right, for what this guy is and what he represents in Augusta and all the drama that goes on in his real life off the course, right?
Yeah, no, he's definitely a lightning rod for, attention, and a lot of it most times seems to be negative, and most times it's brought on himself. He brought to the tour a reputation of, maybe some less than ethical things that he had done in college, as far as some matches that go and some interaction with teammates there who didn't seem to like him and everything. And, then he gets on tour and kind of that reputation follows him. And there's a few little incidents and, then he has the Ryder Cup from, 2 years ago when, he and Jordan Spieth teamed together and, I think went 4-1 or something. And, everyone deemed him Captain of America because, he was pounding his chest and yelling and screaming and, the U.S. won there. So everything was right and everyone loved his antics then, and of course now when things go sour, he's the evil guy again. And, it's the old thing. Sometimes if you look around in the room for the jerk and you can't find him, you need to look in the mirror. He's a lot of people will say, he brings it all on himself. And then, of course, his wife doesn't help, getting on social media and slamming Jordan Reed. I mean, that's someone needs to tell her that's a battle she's not going to win. A wife who's never hit a shot in competition or anything on the PGA Tour, talking about Jordan Spieth, the All-American boy, face of the team and everything, and criticizing him.
Well, there's always drama in golf about how much guys drink and what their personalities are like and whether they're gracious winners or gracious losers. And there's a whole, sort of mantra that if you're a gracious loser, you're a loser. And, there's a lot of that goes on. And then there's the Tiger Woods with, the wife with the golf clubs and marital issues, which ain't nothing normal about being a professional golfer for a wife, right? And it's a whole different kind of life, and the drama part of it, the tabloid part of it, shall we call it, is also sort of tied into this guy specifically, right?
Right, and to be fair, it seems like the last time that the U.S. lost, going back 4 years ago when Tom Watson was the captain, a lot of the drama was, Phil Mickelson coming out in the press conference afterwards and publicly criticizing Watson for a lot of his decisions and basically just, his whole captaincy that was, led by an iron fist and didn't get players' input. And so, now Phil had built up a lot of equity as being, a great guy and the fans' favorite and everything. So a lot of people came out on his side and thought, well, he must be right, and Watson must have been a horrible captain. So therefore we needed to form this committee, that, revamped how the captain was picked and how the teams were picked. So this year, another American loss on foreign soil. And, guess what? More drama coming out of the U.S. locker room versus 2 years ago when the Europeans lost in Chicago. There was none of that. You didn't see, there was still a united front. Pretty much all you heard from the Europeans was how well the Americans played, and congratulations to them. And, we look forward to a couple of years, but there was no infighting or, drama that came out from their side. And that kind of goes with the image of the two teams over the many years. I mean, it's always been said that Europeans are a collection of teams that, every 2 years comes together. The U.S. are a bunch of individuals that play for themselves, every day except for 4 days every 2 years when they play in the Ryder Cup and throw in the President's Cup, which to a lesser extent on the off years. But, that it's tough to get these guys who for, 50 weeks a year are thinking of only themselves.
It's a different kind of game, right? Like tennis or, anything that's that individualized. Most of what you think about with football or hockey or these sort of team sports, it just doesn't pertain, kind of, sort of, right?
Right. And I know you're kind of much more so a tennis guy than I am. I don't know. But, I guess the same thing, would be curious how it happened with the Davis Cup for years. I mean, it's the same situation where you have guys playing on the tour, for themselves, and then they come together for the Davis Cup. And, I'm not well enough versed to know how the U.S. did in those matches over the years because I don't really follow the sport. But it would be the same type thing, as far as going from an individualistic results week by week and getting thrown together as a team for, a week every couple of years.
He is Robert Canady. He is our guy down at Compass Point Golf. We're talking golf around here. Yeah, we do that from time to time. And, of course, Robert's down there at Compass Point Golf. You do events. We have all sorts of stuff going on. Craft Beer Open down at Compass Point in Pasadena this month, as well as some night golf going on down there as well. But for you, with the eyes of the tour and the majors and the Ryder Cup, what happens now from an exhale standpoint, and I guess the wind underneath Tiger Woods' wings and match play and trying to sell pay-per-views? There's golf's trying to not have an off season, kind of like the NFL has a big draft now and all this other stuff, that mini camps, and golf wants that too. And this is the time of the year where maybe you start hitting it in Hawaii or places that the weather's nice, or other parts of the world that, if you don't want to watch a football game on a Sunday, there's something out there for you.
Yeah, oddly enough, the golf has pretty much gotten to the point where there is no off season anymore. Actually, this week they start the 2018-19 PGA season. New out in Napa Valley with the Safeway Open, I believe it is now. Obviously, it's not going to have any of the big names that we saw in the Ryder Cup this past week and everything. But a lot of guys use these first few tournaments as their chance to get a leg up, and get some early season wins and maybe get a card, if they happen to get a win, and get a card secured for the next 2 years, or, get some point lists and everything. And then, I think after this, they go in a couple weeks to, I think, Malaysia, and, then they'll come back and I think maybe a match in Korea before they head back to USO, and then China later, and Vegas. So, yeah, it's a lot of kind of globe hopping over the next month or two. And, really, most traditionalists don't consider the new season starting until January with the Tournament of Champions in Hawaii, and that's kind of, right after the first of the year. But between now and then, there are official events. We won't see Tiger probably until he has an event that he does every year that, is toward the early December. That's a limited field event. And
But it's interesting, like he drops the mic, and even if he sucks all winter, it doesn't matter because nothing matters until like the spring. And he can go make a lot of money and be Tiger again, sort of, kind of, in this second act, right? I mean, this is a fascinating place to leave it. Probably a lot different than where you thought it began in March or April, right? From golf standpoint, the greater notion that Tiger did this amazing, drop the mic encore thing here in the late fall.
Right, yeah. It's a totally different place than a year ago when, we didn't know when or if we would see him again. Now he had this great summer where he competed in the majors and then, got the win at the Tour Championship. Granted, he didn't play well in the Ryder Cup, but, he was one of probably 10 guys that didn't play well. There were like 2 guys over there that probably played well, Webb Simpson and Justin Thomas. Everyone else, pretty much didn't. So, yeah, he'll have a chance to reboot. And, like I said, the Hero Championship that he hosts back in late November, it'll be probably the next time we see him, other than the pay-per-view that I guess he's going to do then with Phil. It'll be interesting how that comes out now. They'll have to start rebuilding that up because they both pretty much laid eggs with the way they played at the Ryder Cup. So, they'll have to start building some hype for that, and so that everyone ponies up their $25 to watch that in November, I think on Thanksgiving weekend. So, but, the hype will begin in the spring as they approach the majors, because that's what it's all about with Tiger. Is he going to, we know he's won again because he did that, recently, and then now can he win another major? And, with the Masters in April, 6 months away, that's what everyone will be pointing towards with him.
Golf can use that in the era of Reed, but also in the era of Spieth and in the era of a nice young group of American stars that now have to stand with their nose up to the glass and say what happened in the Ryder Cup. Robert Canady is here. He's down at Compass Point Golf Course. That's down at Pasadena, 36 holes down there. My man, I know, I don't like to date our broadcast here when we do stuff, but I'm looking at the calendar here over the next 2 weeks. 81, 87, 74, 72, 80, 80, 80, 82, 82. I'm a believer in science and global warming, and it's baseball playoff time this week, and I know you love baseball as well. The weather you're going to have on the golf course the next couple weeks will be pretty good down there, man.
Oh, it's going to be spectacular. It's, the last several days have been really good, and this is our prime outing season. People that book these outings for their charity and corporate outings, 4 or 5 months ago, and they keep their fingers crossed as the date approaches, are going to be blessed with some spectacular weather, looks like over the next 10 days. And, between that and regular golfers out on the course on Saturdays and Sundays, if they're not watching college football or do want to watch, the NFL Sunday Ticket, I'll throw in a little plug. We have in our Bogies Grill. They can come out, play some early golf, and then settle in the bar. And we got Sunday Ticket in there.
Now, you're being all humble and modest. You've done a whole bunch of cool stuff down there to your place. Since I haven't been down there to see it yet.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I will admit that. And the initial feedback has been awesome, as far as it's not a huge place. So basically any seat you have in there, you're within 10 to 15 feet of a 55-inch screen TV with Sunday Ticket on it. So it's already been popular the first week or two, even though I think the Ravens played on Monday Night Football. So we'll see how it goes on a Sunday. We just got those installed a couple weeks ago, but it's been pretty cool so far. And with the Ryder Cup, it was busy. We had it on every screen in there, and we had some good crowds over the weekend. So definitely fall is a busy time here, and great. I've always say fall weather is the best time of year for golf. Sometimes you'll lose a ball in the leaves and everything, but if you keep in the fairway, you don't have to worry about that. At least that's what they do.
Well, the leaves are pretty, but it's just going to happen in December this year instead of October, I guess, right?
Right. Let's hope.
Robert Canady's here. They are doing some night golf later on in the month, as well as the. Is there still room in the? Should I be promoting the Craft Beer Open, or is it sold out?
Definitely still sign-ups. Yeah.
Okay.
There's still that'll be a full field. Since it's a daytime event, we pretty much can get over 100 and some players in it, which we usually do. So there's plenty of sign up.
October 20th, by the way, that's Saturday 9 a.m. October 20th, 2 weeks away. Okay.
The night golf later in the month, over on Halloween weekend, is more of a smaller field since we're playing out at night. It takes a little bit longer to get around the course, so that's one that if people have it on their calendars, they want to get in sooner versus later on that one.
I like the graphic you have up there with the little owl on the moon and the clouds coming through. Night golf, I still want to know what that looks like. Pasadena and Compass Point. Robert Canady is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. He is our college basketball insider locally, but also does a lot of golf over Compass Point. And we do golf, and we're about to turn this, right? Beginning next week, we get together and do the UMBC thing.
Yeah.
We're going to lead with basketball and then kiss golf on the way out. Anything you want to say on the pre-college basketball side of this as we get ready for Maryland going out to Big House to play a big football game this week?
Yeah, no, I think I'm excited for the season. I mean, I've gotten to the point where you're starting to look at some preseason rankings, and Maryland, has big expectations. I saw that they were, kind of ranked in the preseason top 20 and a lot of polls, and people expect big things out of them. And there'll be an interesting doubleheader. I don't know if we've really talked about it. I think we'll have to get the exact date, but I think it's December 4th or 5th or something like that, where Maryland will be playing Loyola in a game early and then or probably late, then Towson and Morgan State. But it's a doubleheader down at Royal Farms Arena. I still call it Royal Farms. I'm not sure what it's called these days, but
it is the Royal Farms Arena. Yes, indeed. Yes.
That'll be a neat.
Does the sister travel? Did she travel? Still, it's just 90.
We'll find out. It'll be interesting. She was definitely all over the news. All over the TVs on her March Madness and everything. So we'll see if her fame carries over, and but that'll be interesting to see. Two good teams there, Maryland and Loyola, and then two local teams, battling it out, Morgan State and Towson. And Towson's going to have a completely new look this year with 9 new players. So I'm sure they'll be still getting to know each other at that point, and then we'll see what UMBC does, coming off their Cinderella run, of one game, but one big game in March. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about starting next week.
Robert Canady is Buckets and Birds out on Twitter. He's also down at Compass Point. That's with the silent E. Halloween night golf coming up at the end of the month on the 27th, and that starts at 3:30 in the afternoon. I guess we get daylight savings time coming here as well. And I haven't had any pumpkin spice yet, Robert. So I'm working now that it's October. I think it's at some point I'm going to have a pumpkin spice coffee before it's all over with. So.
Well, I actually had a pumpkin spice muffin the other day at a Panera, so I, kind of one up on you on that aspect. But yeah, it's definitely gotten to the point where I've been putting on the wind shirt in the mornings with a little bit of chill in the air, and it actually feels really good. And
I'm not ready for Christmas yet, so don't get me started on all that ho ho ho. I'm not a humbugger,
but stores in that already have their decorations up.
Let me enjoy October, right? I turned 50 this month. I'm going to Nashville. The Ravens are playing well. The Orioles at least give me something to bitch about this month. I got good baseball, right? I mean, life's good right now. So let's just settle in here. I don't need to get ahead of myself. My pumpkin spice will come when it's ready, right?
And the Capitals are back on the ice, right?
Caps are back on the ice. Yeah. I'm easing into that. But I'm going to admit to you, man, I got off the hill in Pittsburgh. I got purple fever, Robert.
Hey, well, that was definitely a good win. And, we've got a few Steeler fans that, are call this place home and everything.
We all do.
Even though I'm not a huge Raven fan, it's always nice to rub Steelers' face in something, Steelers fans' faces in something. So
I don't give a hard time either way. I just, I was at a sports bar with Luke on Sunday, and they had the fat head of Ben. I tweeted the picture out over my head, and they had 6 fat head Lombardi trophies, on the wall. And I'm like, yeah, okay, man,
Yeah, scoreboard, right, as they'd say.
Well, I mean, you start adding up our, Super Bowls and Johnny U and, 58, 59. I could put the fat heads on the wall, but all I'm concerned about is where we are right now, which is it's October, and just like the Terps, right? They're, this week they're playing a big game, savor it until they get beaten 38-13 or whatever, right? But I think they're going to score points, so we'll see. Robert, always good to have you on. We'll talk basketball and some golf next week, all right?
Sounds good, Nestor. Talk then.
Robert Canady, Halloween night golf is the 27th, and, of course, the Craft Beer Open is the 20th down at Compass Point. You can find me out on the buy at Toyota.com. Audio of all 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. Becoming crystal clear from anywhere in the world. Our morning newspaper ships digitally and directly to your email inbox free of charge each and every morning at 7 a.m. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com, as well as our friends at the Maryland Jockey Club, where they're racing the Maryland Million on the 20th of the month. Circle that one on your calendar and head on down and check it out. It's going to be fun. Craft Beer Open's the same day, too, so you can do it all down there, Pasadena and Laurel. Last but never least, any breaking news when the Orioles decide to announce whatever they're not going to announce or not announce. We'll get it to you first. It's a WNST tech service. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard. Of course, Dennis will be here on Thursday from 3 until 5, getting you ready for Cleveland. And I am out in the land of Cleve all weekend long. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST, Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.